Hello, this is John welcoming you to the 2011th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Dateline, the 30th of July 2015. The readers this week are Anna, Evan, Lucy and myself, John, with Ian on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Brewer, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perret and is used with his kind permission. Local stories this week include a burst water main which left hundreds of homes without water, concerns over a new pupil referral unit, the vandalising of 3 minibuses, and a reenactment of the English Civil War. Firstly, we have a notice of an event that may be of interest to people. It is a dance activity. It is the Carman Sensory Dance Experience, which I suspect might be based on Bizet's Carmen. It's on Saturday the 8th of August at Sadler's Wells in Rosebery Avenue. It's free to new patrons. I'm not sure what it costs to everybody else. And it consists of a sensory practical workshop from 10:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m, a touch tour at 1 p.m, and an audio-described performance of New Adventures of the Carman, which starts at 2:30 p.m. If you wish to book a place, contact Sarah, that's sarah.howard @sadlerswells.com, or telephone her on 020 7863 8096. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Anna will read the first item of local news.
The roar of cannon, the crackle of muskets, the clash of armour and the beating of drums thrilled spectators as Roundheads clashed with Cavaliers on Saturday in the spectacular surroundings of Enfield's Jacobean mansion, 40 Hall. The authentic depiction of a battle from the English Civil War was staged by Sir Marmaduke Rawdon's Regiment of Foot, a reenactment society which puts on historically accurate displays. The skirmishes between musketeers and pikemen, performed by the costumed participants, brought alive a turbulent period of 17th century history in which the country was split into those who supported King Charles I, Royalists, and those who supported Parliament, parliamentarians. Sir Marmaduke, from whom the group takes its name, was a successful merchant, former MP and staunch royalist who raised his own foot troop and fled his mansion in Hoddesdon, Hertfordshire, to fight for the king. Hundreds of spectators enjoyed drill displays of pike and musket before watching a full-scale skirmish recreating the sounds, smells and drama of battle. Children were also able to have a go at a kiddie drill. The event, in the grounds of the mansion in 40 Hall, had been scheduled to include a military encampment on Sunday when the public could experience the life of a soldier, smell the wood smoke of a campfire and watch food being cooked in 17th century fashion, as well as try on and learn about armour and weapons used, but heavy showers forced its cancellation.
Hundreds of residents were left without water on one of the wettest days of the summer while engineers battled to fix a burst water pipe. More than 200 homes were left high and dry until Friday afternoon as Thames Water struggled to repair a 16-inch pipe on Thursday morning, leaving a large section of Enfield Road between Slades Hill and Bramley Road flooded. As the rain lashed down, householders were forced to pick up bottled water provided by Thames Water from collection points across the EN2 postcode area. Twitter was ablaze with Thames Water customers furious that they had been cut off for so long and with bottled water supplies in shops running low. One resident, Costas Georgiou, vented his frustration at Thames Water and tweeted, "No water in Enfield. It's been all day. Tesco is out of bottled water. Is this the first world? I hope it's resolved by the morning. About 100 homes were reconnected by Friday morning, and a Thames Water spokesman said in a statement to the Advertiser that the remaining homes would have their water again by Friday afternoon. With no water flowing through pipes to hundreds of homes and businesses, schools were forced to call an early start to the summer holiday, shutting its doors in one day earlier than planned. Despite the disruption, a spokeswoman from Thames Water has said that no compensation will be paid out by the company. She said, "Our guarantee scheme offers refunds to customers if they are without water for 48 hours. We're not aware of any households who have been without water for that long, so in this instance the payment does not apply." She added, "We're very sorry to all those who were affected by our burst pipe and would like to thank them for their patience." According to the spokeswoman, anyone who experienced water issues after Friday should contact Thames Water, as it might be due to a separate issue.
A teenager has just finished his video to raise awareness of cancer. Ben Doyle, 18, of Pear Tree Road, Enfield, filmed a one-to-one interview with his mother Jackie, who spoke about her cancer experience for the first time. The filmmaker launched a fundraising page in order to cover the costs of expensive equipment to make the video and hopes it can make an impact on people's lives. The 18-year-old said, "I couldn't be happier with the film. I think it has exactly the tone I was looking for and tells the story of her life post-diagnosed treatment subtly. We've been overwhelmed with the messages of support. The best are from those who have been or are going through a similar experience. People have said the film brings them strength and comfort. This is exactly what we set out on this journey to do, and it is so gratifying to have done so." Ben's mother was diagnosed 3 years ago with breast cancer, and recent scans have shown her to be clear of the disease. The budding filmmaker told the Enfield Independent that the video has been a global hit. He said, "We have had views from as far afield as Canada and Australia, so hopefully it will continue to grow. The power in the video to bring strength to the people touched by cancer is in getting it to as many people as possible."
A garden centre bought by the council for hundreds of thousands of pounds is set to be turned into a school for children who have been permanently excluded. The new pupil referral unit on the site of the Orchardside Nurseries in Baltimore Lane, Enfield, will cater for about 100 pupils aged between 11 and 16 who are either at risk of being permanently excluded from school or have already been excluded. 2 years ago, the local authority paid £900,000 to buy the site, a decision which was criticised by members of the Tory group on the council for being too high a price to pay. Planning permission for the Pupil Referral Centre, which will cover 2,583 square metres of land, was granted at a meeting of Enfield Council's Planning Committee last Tuesday. Despite objections from residents in the Forty Hall Conservation Area that the school would see rush hour traffic grind to a standstill along the road, officers recommended that planning permission be granted. In a report presented to councillors last week, the plan detailed that the site will have parking space for 28 cars, 2 minibuses and service vehicles, as well as 28 bicycles. The proposals state that outside of school hours between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m, the site would be used by the wider community. Although concerns about the impact on the conservation area were raised by residents in the course of a public consultation, a statement from Historic England gave the plans the thumbs up. Its report, giving feedback on the plans, said, "The proposed scheme will arguably have a minimal impact on the significance of surrounding designated heritage assets due to the limited views into the site, particularly from Capel Manor and the Pied Bull Public House." One of the matters raised by residents who replied to the public consultation was, how can a school for disruptive pupils be located next to a primary school? The new school will be next door to Capel Manor Primary. However, a spokesman for the council, the education authority in charge of the school, has said that the tuition centre works to effectively reintegrate children into mainstream schools or provide an alternative educational support setting.
Edmonton MP Kate Ossamore was one of 48 Labour MPs to rebel and vote against the welfare bill. The party line was to abstain on the bill's vote, including a benefit cap of $23,000 in London, as well as limiting tax credits to 2 children per family. Speaking on the subject, the MP defended her decision and said, "I voted against the government's welfare bill because it will take money out of the pockets of families in Edmonton. We already have a child poverty rate of 42% after housing costs are taken into account. Cutting tax credits will push more families below the poverty line. Most people who get tax credits are in work. Instead of cutting support for these families, we should be dealing with the real problems, such as high housing costs and low pay." Figures show that 72% of families in Edmonton are currently in receipt of tax credits. Other rebels included leadership candidate Jeremy Corbyn and Mayor of London candidates Diane Abbott, Sadiq Khan and David Lammy.
Vandals slashed tyres and snapped off the wing mirrors of 3 minibuses used by adults with learning difficulties, leaving them distressed after their horse riding and picnicking outings had to be cancelled. The minibuses were parked in spaces leased by St Mark's Social Education Services, which offers activities for people with learning difficulties. The damage to 12 tyres and 2 wing mirrors was spotted when staff arrived at work to pick up the vehicles for the regular daily journeys to collect adults for the day. They got to the car park in Roman Way at 8 a.m. on Friday and believe the rampage took place overnight after 5 p.m. on Thursday. The damaged tyres have since been replaced. Eleanor Sadiri Costa, who manages the service, said, "It's so distressing for the people who come here. We just wanted people to be aware of the impact of what's happened." She said that changes to routine upset the people who use the 4 centres. The minibuses are used to collect the 68 people who use them throughout the week. The vandalism meant that staff had to use their own cars to bring them to the centres, but the group outings had to be cancelled. Mrs. Sadira Costa added, "People with autism do not harm anybody. They're innocent people. We have had neighbours come and knock on the door and said they are very distressed." Service users and their families helped to raise funds to reach the £11,000 needed to buy one of those minibuses. Police are investigating the incident and have advised managers to prepare letters appealing for neighbours to come forward if they witnessed anything unusual.
MP David Burrows and his Labrador Chomley are back a competition to find the UK's most dog-friendly places. The MP for Enfield and Southgate visited the Woodman pub in Bourne Hill, Southgate, to show his support for the contest organised by the Kennel Club. The pub welcomes dogs and children, and Mr Burrows and his cherished pooch met the landlord Simon Davidson and his Labrador Charlie. The competition, now in its 9th year, is part of the Be Dog Friendly campaign, which aims to break down barriers for man's best friend by encouraging more businesses and public spaces to welcome dogs through their doors. With more than 9 million dogs in the UK and about 1 in 4 households owning a dog, the great British public are always on the lookout for places where their 4-legged family members are also welcome. And the Be Dog Friendly Awards recognise the businesses and places to visit that go the extra mile for our canine companions, said Mr Burrows. I am delighted that the local businesses in my constituency want me to bring my dog Chomley along, and I will be looking for more dog-friendly businesses to get involved, he added. The competition runs until September 15th, and to recommend and vote for your favourite dog-friendly place or business, visit www.bedogfriendlyawards.co.uk.
A 16-year-old will face his fears as he prepares to take on a skydiving challenge for charity. George Cornell of Lee Valley High School in Baltimore Lane, Enfield, has raised over £200 for Noah's Ark Children's Hospice in Barnet as he readies himself for the jump at Chatteris Airfield in Cambridgeshire today. The pupil said, "I chose to raise money for Noah's Ark because they cared for the sister of one of my friends at Scouts. She developed Batten disease when she was 4 and sadly passed away last year. The hospice helped her and her family during this very sad time. The teenager has raised money by organising cake sales and a car wash with his family and friends, and hopes to raise more money for the cause. A total of 15 young people from London and Essex will jump to mark the 15th anniversary of youth charity, the Jack Petchey Foundation. Mr. Petchey said, "Congratulations to the young people on being selected for the skydive. Each should be extremely proud of their fundraising efforts."
A less uplifting story. A 20-year-old has been found guilty of murder after a scuffle between two drug rivals. J.D. Dorset, 20, of Maryland Court on the borders of Haringey and Enfield, was found guilty at the Old Bailey of murdering Isaiah Ekpaloba, 18, after a fight erupted in Dorset's home. Ekpaloba and an associate, Lamont Roper, 18, had taken a minicab to Dorset's address with the intention of robbing him of drugs on January the 9th. Shortly after 4 p.m, the pair forced entry into Dorset's address and attacked him. Dorset sustained several stab injuries during the attack. During the altercation, Ekpaloba sustained injuries, and he and Roper fled the scene and attempted to flee in the waiting minicab. Dorset pursued the pair and caught up with them as the cab attempted to pull out into the high road into Wood Green. CCTV showed Dorset, armed with at least one knife, open the front passenger door and make stabbing motions towards Roper, who was seated there. Dorset then attempted to open the back passenger door where Ekpaloba was seated, but only managed to open it partially. The car took Ekpaloba to North Middlesex Hospital in Edmonton, where he died at 4:46 that day. Police found Dorset covered in blood inside his own flat. Officers recovered a number of knives, one of which had the blade snapped off, indicating the ferociousness of the struggle. Officers arrested Roper, 18, of Wigan House in East London on January 14th, and he was later charged with conspiracy to rob Dorset. He was tried alongside Dorset and found guilty. The pair were due to be sentenced yesterday.
Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows has challenged knife crime laws as 3 men are charged with the murder of a 28-year-old. The MP and former Enfield North MP Nick Dubois led the campaign for a mandatory jail sentence for anyone caught with a knife on a second occasion, which was passed into law on Friday, July 17th. Michael Adegbite, 28, from Chingford, was stabbed in Lackmore Road, Enfield, around 7 p.m. on Sunday, July the 19th, after arranging to sell his MacBook laptop via Gumtree. Montel Ajayi, 18, of Waltham Cross, Isaac Owen Brady, 18, of Enfield, and Christopher Nazaire, 18, of Hitchin, were all charged with the 2 offences, with Mr. Nazaire also charged with possession of an offensive weapon. Mr. Adegbite met 3 men in Auckland Close, where the trio attempted to rob him of the laptop computer. The 28-year-old and his friend snatched back the laptop before getting back into their car. They then tried to confront the 3 men they believed had tried to take the laptop, and a scuffle ensued, resulting in Mr. Adegbite being fatally stabbed. This was the second stabbing in under a week after a man was stabbed in the neck in Hoe Lane. Mr. Burrows has called on Home Secretary Theresa May to do more to tackle knife crime. He said, in 2010, the Conservative proposed that if you carried a knife in public, you would face automatic jail. You only have to look at what is happening in London with the number of knife crime fatalities, not least in Enfield, to know that we have got to do more. He also challenged the Home Secretary to undertake a review of the 1 strike and you're out, and asked that it be introduced. Mr. Burrows added, the 2 strikes and you're out sentence sends a clear message to those who carry knives that if they continue to do so, they are likely to go to prison. The recent incidents of knife crimes in Enfield show the importance of having tough sentences and the greater need to prevent people from carrying knives. Enfield North MP Joan Ryan has also held talks with police and Enfield Council following the stabbings. She said, "These recent tragic events will be devastating to the family and friends of the victims and are of great concern to the wider public in Enfield. I will be working with the police and Enfield Council to ensure we have adequate police cover in the area, as well as what further measures can be taken to reassure constituents regarding the safety of our community and our streets."
Residents are being urged to take part in a discussion about a new plan to reduce the amount of waste which goes into landfill sites and to improve recycling across North London. North London Waste Plan will see 7 different neighbouring boroughs come together to identify new landfill and waste management sites, as well as outlining possible ways to reuse waste collected across areas including Enfield. Despite the arduous task of disposing of waste from 1.9 million people living across its catchment area, the North London Waste Authority is hoping to reduce the amount of rubbish it sends to landfill by 35% by 2020. Alan Sitkin, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration and Business Development, urged Enfield businesses and residents to have their say. He said, "Local authorities have a statutory duty to prepare waste plans, and it is crucial that we get as much public input as possible. This consultation is an initial opportunity for everyone to influence the process." A drop-in census for Enfield residents will take place on Wednesday, September the 9th at Green Towers Community Centre, Plevna Road, Edmonton, between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m.
African drumming, dance performances, songs from West End musicals and operatic excerpts reverberated through the assembly hall of a secondary school last Thursday. The students at Aylwood Academy in Windmill Road, Edmonton, marked their annual Gladys Aylwood Day in style, with the celebration of the life of the woman after whom the school is named, coinciding with the official opening of a new sixth form centre. Patrick Robinson, Director of Community Learning, said, "Gladys was a remarkable woman, and the pupils at the school strive to share the same values as her. For example, because the students at the school understand how much she valued education, they have raised more than £2,000 to help build a school in Ghana." The academy was formed in 2010 when the former Aylwood School was taken out of local authority control. The school kept the same name, due in part, Mr. Robinson said, to demand from the community to preserve the connection with the former Edmonton resident and Christian missionary in China. Born in Edmonton in 1902, Miss Aylwood went to the then Silver Street School, not far from the current site of the academy. She fulfilled a lifelong ambition in 1930 when she set off to the Far East. After she had set up a home in China for orphaned children and wounded soldiers, the Japanese authorities put a bounty on her head as the Second Sino-Japanese War was raging. To avoid capture, she fled with nearly 100 children across mountainous terrain and the Yellow River to reach the relative safety of Siam, now Thailand. Mr. Robinson added, "One of the most important values the school tries to embody is inclusivity. We hope that by doing things that celebrate the achievements of pupils and opening this out to the wider community, everyone can feel included." Gesturing towards a recently unveiled sculpture of her by one of the school's alumni, Gavin Keating, who is currently studying fine art at the University of Hertfordshire, Mr. Robinson stressed that the day was about marking the achievements of all pupils who had succeeded in honouring Miss Aylwood's memory. The afternoon of celebration continued with a performance by Year 9 dance students, a rendition of Summertime from the musical Porgy and Bess by Eloise Larkin-Hines, and a performance of opera classic O Sole Mio by 19-year-old mezzo-soprano Giulia Laudano.
Health Chief Liz Wise is leaving after 3 years with the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group. She spearheaded the introduction of CCG, which plans hospital care, as well as commissioning rehabilitation services, pharmacies, opticians and dental and GP services. It also served as a membership body for 54 group practices in the borough and arranges meetings with the public. Ms Wise oversaw investments of more than £100 million in helping to reorganise hospital care across key sites, including Chase Farm in the Ridgeway, Enfield, where a new urgent care centre was opened after the closure of the Accident and Emergency Department. Ms Wise said she was particularly proud of improvements to services for older people through setting up a special assessment unit. She added, "I am also especially pleased about the rebuild of Chase Farm and look forward to a new modern hospital providing high-quality health care for Enfield patients. I leave knowing that we are already on the way towards achieving our vision of commissioning services that improve the health and well-being of Enfield residents." Ms Wise's new role will be as a programme director for primary care for the Healthy London Partnership Programme, a collaborative project bringing together 32 clinical commissioning groups in London and NHS England. Paul Jenkins, who has had a number of senior executive roles in the NHS and is currently with the Southwark Clinical Commissioning Group, will be taking over the post left vacant by Miss Wise's departure.
A man has been given an indeterminate life sentence after being convicted of setting fire to a home in Enfield Lock and endangering the lives of the couple and their children. Romano Smith from Waltham Abbey was sentenced at Wood Green County Court on Monday for arson with intent to endanger life, with a minimum tariff of 4.5 years before he is considered for release. Sentence came after Mr Smith had pleaded guilty to the charge at an earlier hearing in June. On March 8 this year, a 25-year-old man and 24-year-old woman with 2 of their children escaped from their home in St Stephen's Road after they were woken by smoke and flames coming from the front of the house where Smith had started a fire. All 4 suffered smoke inhalation, with the 25-year-old father of 2 needing hospital treatment for several days. Smith had started the fire after a disagreement with the man over some work they had done together. The Crown Prosecution Service's senior prosecutor for London, Nicola Wood, said, "This was a serious case of arson endangering the lives of 4 people, including 2 children under the age of 6, which could have had tragic consequences. At CPS London, we are committed to working with our police partners to tackle this type of crime and make the capital a safer place."
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.